Seats. I know everybody's looking for a seat. Pretty packed tonight. Got a lot on the agenda, a lot of recognitions to do. That's why we have so many in the meeting tonight. We appreciate everyone showing up for that. I call this meeting of the Red Oak Independent School District to order at 7 p.m. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. All board members are present at this time. Good to see Mr. Knight here tonight. For invocation, we have Mr. Pastor Henry H. Batson III, Senior Pastor of Faith Fellowship Church in Red Oak. He's also a teacher, evangelist, inspirational figure, and advocate for youth and young adults. Pastor Batson is passionately devoted to outreach and supports the local homeless shelters. Presently, Pastor Batson is at work with partners, Habitat for Humanity, schools, churches, nonprofit agencies, college, universities, juvenile detention facilities, and Dallas County Precinct Number 3. Pastor Batson has made a commitment to the city of Red Oak and Red Oak ISD to support all the efforts we as a city feel led to do. He is also committed to partnering with North Dallas County Outreach, Acorn Community Center, and Daniel's Den. Pastor Batson and Faith Fellowship believes in serving others and changing lives one family at a time. Pastor Batson is married to Melanie Batson, and they are parents of 3, Brianna Taylor and Alasia, and a daughter in love, Ashley, and granddaughter, Taylor. They reside in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and as a couple, they continue to plow the ground until the work is done. I'll turn it over to you, sir. You are a busy man.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all that you've brought us through even on this day. We ask, oh God, your presence and your grace be with us. We lift up and we cover our superintendent, Brenda Sanford, our president, John. We pray for this entire board. We thank you for keeping us safe. We pray for continued safety of each and every one of our students, our scholars, oh God, even as they're matriculating the hallways day in and day out. God, even tonight as we celebrate our students and their accomplishments, God, we pray that we would continue to instill pride and hard work and dedication and commitment in them. Thank you for every teacher, for every worker. We thank you and we pray for and cover all of our first responders and those in the medical fields. God, we thank you for who they are tonight. Bless our time is our prayer. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Good evening. I am going to introduce the pledge leader for tonight. Our pledge leader is Hudson Waller. He's 11 years old. His parents are Rob and Becky. He has 1 sister and 1 brother. Hudson is in the 5th grade at Wooden Elementary, and his teachers are Miss Hooper, Mrs. Morris, and Mrs. Pro. His favorite subject is science. Okay. Hudson enjoys playing baseball. His favorite book is Harry Potter, The Deathly Hallows. His favorite animal is a tiger, but he doesn't have any pets. When Hudson grows up, he wants to be a photographer and work for National Geographic. The person he most admires is his dad, because he runs a middle school every day and doesn't break under the stress. Something he likes about himself is he likes that he is a fast runner and that he can play any position in baseball.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, next we're going to move into our recognition portion. We have quite a few recognitions. We asked that if you are being recognized, once you get your, I had diploma in my head, but your certificate, we're not quite at the graduation yet. Get your certificate. If you would wait till all of the groups are recognized, and then we'll dismiss and everybody can leave it one time. So we appreciate that. I'll turn it over to Ms. Stanton.
All right. At this time, if I could get Jared Douglas to come up, representing First Baptist Church Red Oak, and Jeremy Trojacek, representing Chick-fil-A, and Board Member Donna Knight is going to be coming down to assist. For the 2022-2023 school year, Red Oak ISD has partnered with area businesses to recognize our outstanding students at each campus and our district staff. Top Hawk celebrates those students who rise to the top. Each grading period, campuses will select the top Hawks, one boy and one girl from their entire school based on the 4 talents of the Hawk. Each elementary school winner will receive a $25 gift card, and each middle school and high school winner will receive a $50 gift card from our sponsors, who are again tonight, First Baptist Church Red Oak. We have Jared Douglas representing, and Chick-fil-A Red Oak. We have Jeremy and Amelia Trojacek representing. Actually, I don't know that Amelia's here, but Jeremy is here with us to represent and present these certificates. So at this time, elementary students, when I call you up, if you will remain standing until all elementary are up here. We have Eastridge Elementary, Lazarus Torres, first grade. Come on up, Lazarus. And again from Eastridge, Elena Rowe, 4th grade. Red Oak Elementary, 5th grade, Christian Askew. Red Oak Elementary, 5th grade, Avery Rodriguez. Shields Elementary, 4th grade, Jared Mancia. And kindergarten, Kendall Gooten. Shupman Elementary, 3rd grade, Nicholas Brown. And 3rd grade, Sophia Guzman. Wooden Elementary, kindergartner, Elijah Garza. And pre-K at Wooden, Sophia Mendoza Juarez. And these are our elementary top Hawks.
That's wrong, man.
It is wrong.
He's not right.
Yes, as soon as we finish our picture, we'll allow you time to come up and take one closer. Okay, parents, you can come up if you want to get a picture.
That man came prepared.
Keep smiling until you see all phones down. Is that everyone? Okay, congratulations. We're going to move into our secondary, and again, they will be receiving a $50 gift card from our sponsors. We have Red Oak Middle School, 7th grader, Brian Jackson. And 7th grader, Zanab Habash. High school, junior, Aniki Garcia. And senior, Amari Zane Symington. Okay.
Smile in the back of the room. They're all down. One more pop up.
Awesome, congratulations. I will get you gentlemen to stay with us because we're going to do our Hawk Staff Spotlight as well. Again, these outstanding businesses sponsor our Hawk Staff Spotlight. From our bus drivers and office staff to principals, custodians, teachers, and more, our Hawk Nation consists of the very best of the best. Every day, Hawk staff go above and beyond in a variety of ways. We opened the nomination for Hawk Staff Spotlight in September and received over 100 nominations from parents, staff, and students. A committee then selected the top nominees. Tonight's winners, again, are represented here by First Baptist Church of Red Oak and Chick-fil-A, and they will be given a $100 gift card from our sponsors. So congratulations to our Hawk Staff Spotlight for the 3rd grading period, Lauren Crane from Red Oak High School. She is a history teacher. You can read more about her nomination on our social media post, but I'll pull the following excerpt just from one of her students so that you can hear a little about her. For the past 3 years, Ms. Crane has taught me so much and prepared me for college. She has also mentored me as an individual. I have sat in her room and asked her for advice in leadership and academics. She has pushed me to be my best as a student and believed in my ability to accomplish goals I never thought possible. I couldn't be more grateful to have her in my life as both my teacher and my role model. So congratulations, Ms. Crane. And thank you again to First Baptist Church, Red Oak, and Chick-fil-A for sponsoring these wonderful events. We appreciate that. It's great recognizing our students and our staff. Okay, at this time, I'm going to call up our Director of Choirs, Keith Lathram. And he has a couple of presentations to make, and he'll be assisted by Ms. Knight again.
Good evening. My name is Keith Lathram. I'm the Director of High School Choirs here in Red Oak ISD. And I have the honor to recognize 2 of our choir students this evening for making the American Choral Directors Association honor choirs. I'll talk to you just a little bit about them just so you understand what a great honor this is for them. The American Choral Directors Association is a national association of choral directors from all of the United States, all 50 states. Every other year, they hold a national convention in a different location across the U.S. in which all of the choir directors come and meet and speak. They have lectures, choirs perform from all over the world. And as a part of the last section of performances, they have honor choirs. These honor choirs are made up of auditioned high school students from around the nation. Typically, there are more than 2,000 or 3,000 people who audition for these choirs, and two of our own Red Oak Hawk choir students made it, and I would like to recognize them. Clifton Gray, senior Clifton Gray, and sophomore Caitlin Stanford.
Hey, y'all wait on Mrs. Fields now.
Congratulations. What an honor. Okay, at this time, I'm going to call up Coach Melvin Robinson and Coach Johnny Johnson, and they're going to be assisted by Board Member Brian Sebring. How are you, gentlemen?
Good evening, everybody. My name's Johnny Johnson, and I'm a assistant football coach here for the Red Oak Hawk football team. And we had a very interesting football season this year. Great group of young men that faced a lot of that faced a lot of adversity, and they handled it well. It's very unusual adversity that they had to face, and they faced it, and they responded to it well, and we're very proud of them. As a result, we had several athletes that earned all district honors. We had athletes that earned academic all-state honors, and we have some of them represented here today. So if we can give them a round of applause for the job well done. Oh, okay. All right. So the first one that earned first team all district, Tanner Thompson. First team all district, Braden Robinson. First team all district, Chris Martinez. First team all district, Taz Williams. Second team all district, Moses Martindale. Second team all district, Zach Smith. First team all district, Kamandre Yancey. Second team all district, Chris Ramos. Sorry. First team all district, Chris Ramos. Second team all district, Caden Bates. And first team all district, Cameron Devonis. In all, we had 30 athletes that received all district honors this year, which shows how hard that they worked, and they did a great job.
It's always wonderful when you have so many that you have to go through the certificates. That says quite a lot about this football team. All right. Congratulations. So we're going to get some photos if you will. Yes.
Yeah, we gotta be. Short.
You've got to get in the picture.
You're really gonna have to.
You may have to double row. You may have to double row.
All in the back. That means you're in the front, coach. Well, I think Mr. Robinson's a little bit shorter.
Seniors. With all seniors?
Nope.
Squeeze in.
Don't cover your face.
Put that certificate down below your face. And then they get this solemn.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you, coaches.
John.
Mm.
You did good.
And at this time, now we're going to have Coach Hope Porter come up for the high school varsity volleyball team to make some presentations, and board member Mickey Porter will be assisting her.
Okay, sorry, I'm out of breath. As you can look at me, you can tell I stopped running about 10 years ago. So I had to run from the gym and run in here, so I'm out of breath. But this year, the girls finished second in our district and advanced to the by-district playoffs, which is a really good feat for them. They overcame a whole lot of adversity in the first 3 weeks of the season to make that happen, so I couldn't be more proud of those girls. They finished the season 22-20 and came away with some honors. So without further ado, we will introduce those ladies. Our district 14-5A setter of the year this year was senior Elena Guerrero. We had 2 first-team All-District honorees, senior Chloe Munoz and freshman Jaden Fitzgerald. We had 2 second-team All-District honorees, junior Grace Francis and senior Tabitha Westbrook. Also receiving academic all-district honors this year were freshman Jaden Fitzgerald, senior Chloe Munoz, and senior Elena Guerrero. So 3 of these young ladies were academic all-district as well. Yeah. On top of that, seniors Chloe Munoz and Elena Guerrero received academic all-state honors from the Texas High School Coaches Association as well as the Texas Girls Coaches Association. So they have 2 academic all-states under their belt for the season. So without further ado, these are your district honorees.
Stay put. You got one more, Mickey. All right, congratulations. Congratulations to all of our Hawks. I don't know if you noticed or not, but we had a Hawk recognized that was pre-K all the way up to senior. So that says a lot when tonight we had pre-K through senior year, all of our Hawks recognized. So we appreciate y'all. And at this time, that would be a great time for any of those recognized who wanted to slip out from recognitions. You can do so before we start our school board recognition. Thank y'all for coming, and I'm so proud that each and every one of you are Hawks.
Thank y'all.
We going down?
I'm gonna tell you that in a second. I'm gonna just do it. So I need confirmation from the
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna do the confirmation in the
Okay. That Francis, is that Valerie Francis?
Yes.
Man, they look alike.
She looks more like the oldest one.
Yeah. You can tell
She's
Francis
Francis.
playing for
Yeah.
sure.
And then there's Magali. It's younger than that.
Well,
Senior pro.
Bird.
Okay, this is School Board Appreciation Month, and we are going to take some time to honor our board. I want to start by reading a proclamation from the Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. To catch a glimpse of the Texas of tomorrow, we need only look into the classrooms of today. The boys and girls presently enrolled in our schools will, in due time, take the reins of the nation and determine the destiny of our people. Our founders knew that American democratic experiment could only succeed if our population remained virtuous and educated, and our schools promote the very enlightenment upon what our republic depends. Consequently, the task that befalls our school board is of the utmost importance. Recognizing that our educational system is foundational to our social order, individual schools and districts are answerable to the people through elected school boards. These boards set a vision for their district based on students' needs and community values. They uphold standard of rigor, achievement, discipline, and decency, and they provide a forum in which concerned parents and citizens can involve themselves in the educational process and make their voices heard on pressing issues. Ultimately, meaningful progress must be initiated at the grassroots level, and to this end, school boards ensure that the concerns of parents and citizens alike are addressed. A child's God-given capacity is practically unlimited, and to unlock the fullness of this potential, we must all support the efforts of our local school boards in any way we can. We must likewise remain informed about issues facing our school district, never forgetting that these bodies are accountable to the citizenry. At this time, I encourage all Texans to acknowledge and celebrate the thousands of school board trustees who voluntarily serve the next generation of leaders. From the Panhandle to the Gulf of Mexico, our school board members advocate on behalf of our children, strive to provide them the best possible education, and ensure that their needs and those of their parents remain a central focus. In so doing, they pave the way for a better, brighter future for the Lone Star State. Therefore, I, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, do hereby proclaim January 2013 to be School Board Recognition Month. So congratulations to our school board, and at this time, Director Keith Latham is going to have his choir perform. Thank you, choir. We appreciate that so much. At this time, I'm going to also have the board to make their way down to the front for some special presentations from our Red Oak High School Student Council.
I'm Angela Thomas from Red Oak High School Student Council, and I have with me tonight two of our executive board members, committee chairperson Roshni Murthy and our president Gabriela Martinez.
Good evening. On behalf of Red Oak High School Student Council and the students of Red Oak High School, we would like to present the ROISD School Board with gifts of appreciation. In honor of all the hard work and dedication the school board demonstrates to the school community, Red Oak High School Student Council presents prayer plaques made by our ROHS welding teacher, Mr. Paige Bishop. Thank you for serving our district.
Okay, if y'all will stay down just for a moment. Thank y'all so much. I want to say, as our Stuco is leaving, they're going to be doing a presentation for y'all next school board meeting. But because of the Education Foundation, they provided a grant to the student council, and they were able to do something that was phenomenal today. They had a speaker come in from California, and when you walked into the Learning Commons, they had a representative from every organization. I'm talking athletics, fine arts, all of the different organizations, and they learned about leading today and encompassing and grabbing everyone that's not a part of the Hawk family in some manner and teaching them how to be connected. So it was pretty phenomenal. I wish I could have spent the whole day with him. It was really great listening to him and him. So thank y'all, Stuco. That was just amazing. And thank you, Education Foundation, for that grant. Before you leave, man, I hate to go after this. That's pretty amazing. I would like to present certificates to each of you as well. Serving on the board, I know, is a great challenge and a lot of adversity going on in today's time. And I just don't think we thank each of you enough for really, truly standing up for what is right and for standing up for our students and really becoming ingrained in the education and everything about our kids. And y'all are just so in touch with what our students need. And you're so in touch with, it's not just academics, it's about connecting with the kids. And I just can't thank you enough. I am sincerely blessed to be part of Red Oak ISD, and I thank each and every one of you for what you have done. So I'm going to give you a quick certificate. And if y'all will be seated, we have a great video for y'all. Oh, sorry.
I call this meeting to the Red Oak Independent School District to order.
John, don't talk so close to your mic.
Oh, thanks, Mommy.
You're welcome.
I call this meeting for the Red Oak Independent School District to order. What? I'm hungry.
We had water buddy yesterday.
I just love Whataburger. All board members are present. The first item on the agenda. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first action item tonight.
Don't sit back.
Oh, sorry. The first action item tonight is the lunchroom budget. Unlimited pizza.
We can't just do unlimited pizza.
Unlimited ice cream.
Nice.
Whataburger.
I have a question.
There you go.
Thank you.
Is that what that's for? Ooh.
I think we should eliminate the star.
Is that a question? And replace it with unlimited recess.
You read my mind.
I read your notes.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's settled.
Oh, man.
Next, what about math?
Everyone should do math
Done.
and social studies.
Done. And science. Science is important too, John. You're right. Yeah, we need that for FFA and CTE. Future raises. Accepted. Yeah, go Cowboys. Yeah. Just kidding. I know we just can't give everyone unlimited money, but surely there's a number we can agree on. Something that they're all worth. How about $1 million? Wow, that's a lot.
How about 2 million? I'll allow it.
Sold. Hey, that only works when I do it. Oh, okay. Done. What's next?
I think that's it.
That was easy. I love board membering.
It's here.
I love Whataburger. I'm hungry.
You know I graduated here, right?
That draws the school board meeting to a close. Giggle.
Thank you to the Communications Department for putting that together. And now open forum.
You know it.
I don't know who wrote the script, but they had Melanie Peterson down pat. Wanting to grab the gavel. You notice she scoots closer to the president's side every meeting. Next, we're going to move into our open forum public hearing for our taper report by Ms. Sulak.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to share the district annual report with you in public hearing format. All right. So there are 8 sections required in the annual report, and here is the list. I'm not necessarily going to read through those because we'll hit each of those as we go through the report. The first section is the academic performance part, and it includes PEIMS information, student assessment data. TAPER is published in a PDF format, and it includes a lot of information about not only performance, but specific student groups, district programs, staff, demographics, lots of information there. The cover page does give the district's accountability rating, A, B, C, D, or not rated. It gives information about our special education determination. If we don't give the ASVAB, it notes that there, and it also notes any district distinction designations. So this is a summary. In addition to a district taper report, each campus gets a taper report. And here is a summary of that first page information from the district and the campuses. And this is all information that you saw and heard before when accountability first came out. Taper is just a summary of it all. So there are 3 performance ratings: approaches, meets, and masters. And those are reported based on assessments, by subjects, by grades. And then also academic growth. And there was a limit to what could be reported in academic growth this year because we're still overcoming some of the COVID lack of testing. So that varied a little bit this year. Oh, I'm going to go back real quick. Typically, academic growth is year to year. This looks a little different because it's 19 and 22 because we had that COVID gap in there. Next year will be true year to year again. So it'll look more like we're used to looking. Our bilingual education and English as a second language programs, you can see the performance here by all subjects, all grades. Again, the report details it out by test, by grade, by, really detailed. Just, we don't have time tonight to go into every single detail of it. So this is just kind of an overview number of it here. You can see that we did make some progress there from 68% to 73%. And star participation is the number of students taking the test, and we did see some growth there also. There's another section that talks about attendance, graduation rates, dropout rates, again in way more detail than I'm doing here. These are just kind of some overview numbers. And our attendance rate for the time period here reported was 96.6%. Our dropout rate in 7th and 8th was 0%, and 9 through 12, 2.3%. We have some graduation rates there, graduation rates by the length of time. So there's 4-year, 5-year, and 6-year. And I did not print all the graduation plan information up here because there are a lot of different graduation plans and way more information than would fit on one slide. But at the very end, we'll scroll through the taper report to show you some of that. We also have college, career, and military readiness information there. Our CCMR graduates were at 64.8%. Our college ready, 54.9%, and our career and military ready at 20%. So you may go, well, that doesn't all add up. There are some kids that are shown in both the college ready and the career and military ready. So it's not a true add to make the top number. There's also information about our TSI students, our CTE coherent sequence completers, college prep courses, AP and IB results, and finally SAT and ACT results. There's information about dual credit course completion, students who enrolled in Texas institutions of higher learning, and then also completing 1 year. Again, this is lagging information, so it's not the exact past year in all cases. There's also a lot of information about our student enrollment, including breakdowns by grade level, ethnicity, student identifying indicators, disability, retention rates, class size. There's information about staff as far as years of service, where our teachers fall in that, highest degrees held, ethnicity and gender of teachers, teacher salary, teacher turnover rate. There's information about student enrollment by program as well as teachers by program, the population they serve. Just to give you a snippet of that data, you can compare the 2021 school year to the 21-22 school year in these 4 areas. Our economically disadvantaged rose from 47.9 to 51.8. Students served under Section 504 from 9% to 9.3%. Bilingual ESL, emergent bilingual EL students, 12.4 to 12.7, and our at-risk student population from 46.8 to 54.2. And there are 15 indicators that fall in or identify students in that at-risk category. For years and years and years, it was 13, and now it's 15. I mentioned there's some staff information, and this is just a sampling of that. Again, comparing roles that staff members play in the district and how that has changed over time. One thing that I want to point out about this is some of the areas where you see an increase or a decline. Some of that is due to challenges of staffing these days. It may not be that the positions rose, but positions that were filled actually changed because we couldn't find somebody to fill a position or something like that. Again, I mentioned that there's information about program participation. We have our bilingual ESL education program here, our gifted education, and our special education. So you can see that we have experienced some growth in our bilingual program and in our special education program, while our GT program has remained fairly consistent across the 2 years that are shown here. Another item that we are required to share with you again tonight, you've already heard this, we received another A in our first rating. And that is credit to our business office. So district accreditation status, there are 4 accreditation levels there, and below that it shows you what plays into those ratings. We were not assigned an accreditation status this year. We're still overcoming the COVID years, so I assume that will be back in the near future, but it was not back this year. Campus performance objectives are included in our campus improvement plans, which are posted on the website, and these are looked at annually at each campus as well as the district, and also they periodically throughout the year review their progress on those objectives. I am able to report to you tonight that in the time period covered on this report, we did have 4 violent or criminal incidents that we were required to report to involve firearms and 2 controlled substances. We continue to do a whole host of things listed here to reduce the violent criminal incidents, as well as just overall look at the safety. Safety is a top priority, and we continue to embrace that for our students. Prior to the start of the school year, the district did participate in the required safety activities, again, to ensure the safety of our students, and we continue to focus on safety in addition to these items. Another required item in this report is student performance in post-secondary institutions. And here is our most recent information about our graduates, what post-secondary institution, type of post-secondary institutions they're enrolled in, as well as the GPA they're receiving at those institutions. As you are well aware, you've set some House Bill 3 progress goals for us as a district. And to look at those, one of those involves early childhood literacy learning. The district as a whole went from 36% to 51% over a year. Red Oak Elementary, 30 to 53, Wooden, 31 to 55, East Ridge, 38 to 56, Shields, 43 to 46, and Shutman 37 to 45. Remember that the first number there represents us just coming off of COVID, and then we had a year of progress with the kiddos, so we saw some pretty significant gains once our kiddos were back in school. And very similarly in math, we saw some great gains there also. and they are listed by campus. We also have a goal regarding our college career and military readiness, and the goal that was set most recently has to do with our AP testing and passing. And so you can see the percentages by subject area there, as well as those that met the criteria, met or exceeded the criterion for those tests. So the participation is of the total student body, and the criterion is of those that took the test. Each year, TEA puts out a taper glossary to help folks who may not deal with this every day to better understand and know what some of the terminology used is. And it is available on the TEA website, as well as will be included in when we post on our website. Finally, if you have questions or would like to look at any of this further, feel free to give me a call or email me, and I will be happy to schedule a time to do that with anyone, board or anyone else who has a question there. I have asked Scott to take us to the TEA website so that if you want to dig further into the report before it gets posted, you are able to do that. So when you go to the TEA website, in that search box up at the top, you can simply put taper, and it will take you to this, give you an option to click to go to this page. And I'm going to pull up the district report this evening just to kind of walk you through it. It'll let you select a school year from the drop down up there. The most recent one, of course, is 21-22 that's available. You can choose to do it at the district or the campus, region or state level. We're going to go ahead and stick with district. We're going to choose by district name. You can choose by county or district number. And if you'll simply type Red Oak there and search, it pulls up Red Oak ISD, and we can hit view reports. And you have the taper in its entirety, all 50 something pages of it, 30 something pages, whatever, 33. Okay. And similarly, you can go to a campus report if you want to view an individual campus. Questions or things that you would like to know about in addition to what we've included?
We'll open with the board. Does anybody on the board have a question about the presentation or data within?
My question was going to be, and you answered it at the end, was if you want to, because several times you mentioned that there's more information available. That was going to be my question, where is it
Because we
available?
posted a PDF, the link wouldn't have worked, so we decided just to take you here at the end.
No,
to
that's
show
better.
everybody.
I'm just, that was just going to be my question.
Anybody else have a question? Can you go back to section 6?
Let me let him.
So this is secondary, the grades.
Yes.
So if you look at them, I mean, there's 93, we're showing 93 students at university, correct?
Yes, at a 4-year.
4-year university, 153 at 2-year university or 2-year institution. It's concerning that if you look at the low end, less than 2.0, and then 2.0, less than 2.5, you're about 26% for the university of kids who are making below 2.5, and then you're about I have about 48%, but I don't think that's too high. I guess it's concerning that it's really high that we have kids that are struggling. Have we looked at what is it? Kids they're struggling with the material, or they're not prepared from the standpoint they're going from high school to a 2-year college or college. They're not prepared for the rigor of, they have to study. Nobody's force feeding them the information. They have to do. Can we go and dig a little deeper into that? I mean, because I think that's a That's a problem. A lot of kids can get through high school and not do a whole lot of studying, right? If you listen, you pay attention, you can retain some of that information. But when you get to college, it may not come that quite that easy for you. So
So the report that this is out of doesn't specify that. They don't ask the kids why, why are you struggling? But that is definitely something that we could follow up at the district level and at the high school with students and ask our graduates, where in what ways were you well prepared? In what ways do you wish you had been more prepared? It gets a little harder to contact everybody once they've left our buildings, but we can certainly work on some type of contact for those students.
I will say too, we just had the alumni return day at the high school. And so I had an opportunity to speak to some of our students that just graduated. And I'm going to say overwhelmingly, as I talked to them, they're like, oh, Miss Sanford, there's a lot of studying. We have to put in a lot of hours, for these classes. And it's been tough and we're having to learn how to study. So that is an exact true statement that you just said. It's learning how to organize your time when you have that freedom and concentrating in on the studies that you need. So we definitely need to look at that as well.
and then the kids are going like, so for the 93 and the 153, I mean, they have the numbers. Do we know who those kids are?
The report that this came off of doesn't identify them individually, but with some work, we could identify most of them.
So it may be a struggle to go back and get the kids who are already there. Now we have kids who are getting ready to graduate in a few months. Can we not, after they're they're done getting their diploma, walking out the door, can we start now to gather some detail for these kids and prepare them? Hey, when you go off, we need to know where you're struggling at. What are you not getting? What do you get to college? What are you missing? What are you not prepared to do or to take so that we can fix it so your buddy who's maybe one class behind you doesn't see the same thing, right?
We
So-
absolutely can make an effort to keep in touch. Once they get that diploma from us, they're a lot less interested in.
I understand.
Maybe we could
But we can absolutely
kind
work
of,
on that.
kind of look at if they would be willing to give us their new email address.
Sure.
And then that way we could send out a survey to them at their new email address, even if it's just they already have a private email address right now that we may not know. If our seniors would be willing to share that with us, then we could do it that way.
Well, I would
So-
say if the student didn't want to share, you can talk to some parents. Parents would be more than happy
Yes.
to share.
And those
some of the
addresses
kids are
we
struggling.
probably have.
So, okay, thank you. So this is a open public forum. So if there's anybody in the audience that has a question about what you were shown, now's the time to ask whatever you'd like to know or hear. This is your time.
I'm going to step to the side in case
Okay.
anybody wants to come up here, but I will be happy to come back should I need to.
Does anybody have any questions, input, thoughts? Sure. Could you step to the microphone, please, so we can hear you? Thank you.
One of the things that came to my mind is, do our students in Red Oak High School, do they use textbooks? Are they all on computer mostly for their classes? And does that transition to college? I'm assuming you still buy textbooks in college. So is that a big difference, that maybe learning from a computer is easier for some students and then they have to be thrown into actually reading their textbook in college? Could that be an issue?
I'm just going to speak from my personal children. It was pretty much a mixture in college. They did a lot of research where they had to pull articles, and so they had to have those skills in order to pull them as well. But yes, they still bought textbooks as well. So it's kind of a mix. Hopefully through us going one-to-one, we've kind of addressed that to where they're more apt to going through and using a computer as well. But I believe they also have textbooks at school. Mr. Gatewood and Mr. Waller, if y'all want to say anything differently, but I believe that is true. We have a mix of both, and I
Here
think
in our
that's
school
correct.
district?
Yes.
So we do have textbooks for classes?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I have one in college. My oldest one did buy books, but my youngest one, she does not. Most of her books are online. So they give them an option. Even at the upper level classes, you can buy a hard copy
Or digital.
or you can get a digital form of the books. A lot of kids like the digital form. I personally have a hard time reading off of iPad, but there are a lot of kids who that's the way they learn. So
Actually, I think the digital copy allows them to do a word search, to where they can actually just put a word in there and it pops up somewhere in the digital platform. So it's easier for them to maneuver. So kids nowadays they kind of like that search engine part on that.
I just like the clip notes. All right, anybody else? Before we close it out? All right. So I appreciate you presenting. Well, next we'll move into the superintendent's report.
Okay, and we're going to start with Dr. Bill Johnston.
Thank you and good evening. It's
Evening.
that time of year we start looking at the budget process for next year. And the process doesn't change so much from year to year, although every 2 years when the legislative session kicks in, there's a lot of unknowns. And back in 2019, when I was first here, there was a lot of unknowns, and the legislature didn't approve a budget for school districts until mid-June. We have to adopt a budget by middle to the end of June. So we came back, we adopted a budget based on the known factors. Then we came back in October and adopted the budget based on the House Bill 3 components. So the budgeting process starts in December and it goes, budget's approved in June. And then through House Bill 3, we can't adopt as a district the tax rate until August. So it's really used to be from December to June, now it's December to August. And again, we start the process by reviewing the last year. And again, last year was kind of nothing really changed, so it was pretty new what to do. This year, again, as we look at this, we may have to come up with multiple scenarios. The hope would be by March, when I start to put some of the projected revenue components together, that the legislature will have some idea what they want to do. I mean, they're looking at several different components this year. Maybe looking at the increasing the basic allotment, which they did back in 2019. And again, that's something they hopefully will continue to do year after year just due to inflation type situations. So we may come back, and the goal would be to start the process now, start visiting with the campuses and the departments in February, come back in March share something with the board, give some idea of what we think it's going to look like. But again, it may be multiple scenarios, and we may have one and it changes. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts between now and we adopt a budget in June. And then want to keep the board updated, so come back maybe every meeting to share what we know. But again, the goal would be to hopefully the legislature to have something approved by the end of May when they're supposed to, which may give us, that may not be enough time because again, depending on when the meeting is in June, we may not have enough time to really implement some of those components because you have to do a public notice and do the special hearing, and you have to notice that 10 days ahead of time. So that's probably going to be by the end of May that we have to publish the budget document for when the board approves it. So again, the document that you have does lay out month by month the different components. Again, start visiting with the campuses and departments in February. Send them the information of what their budget is going to be in March, so they could enter that into our financial system. And then we start finalizing various components, salary, costs, other type of costs that we may have, look at any changes from year to year, and then come back in April and May and share. Because we don't want y'all to be surprised in June with all of a sudden, here's the budget. We want to give you the components and the changes as we progress and develop the budget. So with that, I don't know if there's any questions, but again, the process really hasn't changed from last year. It's just the unknown of what's going to happen at the state level this year.
Anybody have any questions? So I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. As we look at the budget process this year, can we, and I know we look at programs, we do program reviews. Are there any programs that we have that they're nice to haves, but maybe, it's a handful of kids that actually use the program. You know, you have a new Congress, mixed, Senate and the House, right? So who knows what's going to come out of that when they start making their changes. There are some changes out in the economy. I work in the semiconductor industry, and there's some changes that are coming. So, I think we need to look at from an internal. And I'm not saying we just start, cutting everything, but I think we need to look at when there's things that they're nice to have, but not necessarily we have to have. The kids are still getting the core. They're still getting what they need. Whether it's to go out and work, go in the military, whatever it is, go to school. But they're still getting that. But can we look at all of our programs and make sure that, they're viable programs? A lot of these programs were started based on a grant or, from the state. They only usually grant them for a couple of years, and then we have the burden going forward if we want to choose them. So can we go back and look at some of those and just make sure that we're good, good to go? And that would be from top to bottom. It doesn't matter what level it is. So,
And I know our technology department has been looking for the last, 6 months to almost a year at the different software components.
Yeah.
Of which you're talking about, because a campus might, one campus got this software for their students, this campus got another software, try to do a combined software for all the elementary grades. And so I know they're reviewing to see what's important and what's not important. Again, the software is not a big program, but it does help us get to that point.
Well, typically the software is not the problem. It's the licenses to put it on all these different computers.
Well,
That's where you come into your cost. So,
that's part of, when I say the software, I meant probably the licensure of the software as well.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
And again, we also, one of the things that's positive or negative is we're making a lot of projections. We know nothing really when we adopt the budget. As far as a good example is the ADA,
Sure.
the average daily attendance. And so if we view or project that ADA is going to go down, then we probably will have to do, as you say, and look across the board. And also that may depend on what the state does. If they don't raise the basic allotment, that may negatively impact us because our costs are going up, but the state funding may not go up. So then we'll have to look at programmatic perspective to see if there's places we do need to cut. So that's part of the process.
Okay.
But we've been fortunate over the last several years to have growth in the state funding, so we haven't had to do that.
And just I understand that your office does a super job of monitoring, putting the budget together, and monitoring our finances. That's why you get the awards every year. So I congratulate you and your department for that. I'm really looking more
curriculum.
more this way. I didn't speak
Yeah.
to that direction,
Yes.
but
Yes.
more this side from everybody else that's giving you the input, right? You're putting it together, but they have to give you the input. So I appreciate everything you do, Dr. Johnson, for sure.
And Ms. Schulich, you may can answer. I know that we just did some of that with our language programs as well. So you may can address some of that we're already looking at. Just whenever you talk about it here in a few minutes, because we are addressing some of what you talked about as well.
Yeah, and I think when we are doing that, I think we need to communicate that. Right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Absolutely.
thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move into just a portion where I kind of give you some information as well. So I want to start with some of the things that congratulatories that we need that we didn't recognize the actual students here. They may come at a later time. But congratulations to our campus and state national career development Association of Poetry and Art contest winners from Red Oak High School. The winning entries are being sent to nationals for the final contest, and that will take place in May. Senior division category Art 2, first place, we had Grace Calver, second place Lisa Green, and third place Madison Smith. And then we had a division, adult student division category Art 2. First place, Angelina Cisneros. And then we also had a teacher that went into the Open Adult Division category, Art 2, and first place, Zachary Russell. So that was quite an accomplishment. We had a lot of first, second, and third places in there. We just finished with Safety Week. We always know, we're always talking about safety is on the forefront of everyone's mind. So I just wanted to kind of update you that we did perform safety drills on all of our campuses last week, and just to kind of review our procedures and see if we have any holes in anything, and always tweak and get better. And everyone did a great job on that. So congratulations to our campuses. I know everyone's Raptor alerts went off numerous times last week, and you had to get through that, but I appreciate all y'all did on that. Congratulations to Red Oak High School swimmer Aniki Garcia for breaking another school record. He broke the 100-yard butterfly record with a time of 59.12. The previous record was set back in 2006, so that was a long-standing record since 2006. And if you'll remember, he previously broke the 100-yard backstroke record last season, so he now holds 2 records at Red Oak High School that he has broken. I want to thank, I just mentioned briefly earlier, I want to thank the class of 2022 alumni that participated in the Alumni Return Day. It was awesome seeing those students on campus. They took the time to return to talk to our now juniors and seniors to tell them about their college experience so far. So again, they were kind of sharing with them, these are some things you really need to work on because I'm struggling with it. And these are some things you ought to think about. So I think that was a great thing to do, and we're proud of these students and appreciate their willingness to share. And they were very willing. They were not quiet at all about how hard things were and how different it was than they anticipated, and things that these kids could do. So that was awesome to see that. Also, Red Oak High School student Angel Artero exhibited a memorial bench in memory of a Red Oak High School staff member at the Fort Worth Livestock Show and Rodeo, and he was awarded a blue ribbon for his project. And it was a wonderful way to honor a teacher who made a difference. So we were really proud of that. Again, the Red Oak High School boys swim team, they had quite an eventful, successful district meet. The swim team was named District 14-5A Varsity Boys Division Swimming and Team Diving Team runner-up. All members of the boys swim team are advancing to regionals February the 3rd and the 4th, and Coach Maddie Hooper was named Boys Coach of the Year. So that was very good as far as that goes as well. We had boys 200-yard medley relay, Cameron Foster, Aniki Garcia, Marco Cruz, and Landon Gherkin, second place. Cameron Foster was our district champion in the 50-yard freestyle and 100-yard backstroke. Aniki Garcia was district champion in the 200-yard individual medley and second place in the 500-yard freestyle. Marco Cruz was second place in the 200-yard freestyle and third place in the 100-yard butterfly. And then our relay team for the boys 200-yard freestyle, Caden Williams, Harrison Aitken, Skylar Ayala, and Vicente Chavez, third place. And then our freestyle relay, 400-yard freestyle relay for boys, district champions, Cameron Foster, Anike Garcia, Marco Cruz, and Landon Gherkin. Quite an accomplishment on that swim team. I mean, they brought home lots of medals and things on that. So very, very proud of them as well.
Without a pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a pool.
I know it. I'd also like to think this is something that the board probably does not know about yet. So we have just found out that Mr. Steve Hardy of Page, he generously donated over 80 Cisco phones to Red Oak ISD. And these phones will be used in areas throughout the district that needed a phone. For example, our portables, it needed phones as well. And also to replace phones that are kind of on the brink. So that was a huge donation for our district. And we want to thank them for supporting Red Oak ISD. So that was some of the happy, wonderful things that I wanted to share. And then I want to address just a couple of things that have come up before we move on into the next line item. We had some people that were asking questions about our Red Oak ISD Citizens Advisory Council, our Community Advisory Council. So I wanted to kind of address some things on that. We were told by one of our constituents that our webpage stated that those were open meetings. And I thanked that person for telling us that that was an error on our webpage. They are not open to the public. So we did change that to, it is no longer say open meetings as far as public meetings. So I wanted to kind of talk about what ROCAC is and also the availability of other ways to be involved in our school district. So ROCAC is just an advisory group. It's not an action group. So no action is taken. It's a group of staff, community, business leaders, and parents. We meet 9 to 10 times a year. There's no decision-making power. They are strictly advisory in nature. Things that we discuss on that are educational plans, goals, projected performance objectives, major instructional programs. So I just want to give you an example of some of the things we have put on our agenda. That's kind of the umbrella. One thing is like the upcoming school calendar. We always bounce that off of several committees, DAC, ROCAC. We talk about it on Coffee Talks. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. We do surveys. We have all kinds of input that we bounce that off of people on. Also, something that we talked about a lot last year was dress code. So we bounced that off of ROCAC and the different organizations' Coffee Talk as well. We talked about ESSER funds, and these are the ways that we were spending some ESSER funds and got input. Example of a program initiative would be like the summer camps that we're actually going to put on this summer. So those are some of the things that the Red Oak Advisory Council actually meets about. Again, not a council that has any decision-making power. No board members are on there. So it is not a requirement to have those as an open meeting. And kind of to give you just a little history, I had Ms. Trimble to look up to see if we had ever had like public members to actually come to those in the past. And so she looked it up. In 1819, there are no recorded public guests. 1920, no recorded public guests. 2021, no recorded public guest. 21-22, no recorded public guest. And then, so I just wanted to make sure that we hadn't in the past had a lot of public input on those and that there was something that we need to look at. There is something that we could actually look at doing. The DAC, which is a district advisory committee, they are also an advisory committee that comes about with the community and with parents and with different people. They are required by law to have one open meeting for the year. And it usually comes after the taper, so they're probably going to be doing that pretty shortly. So we could actually do one public meeting if that's something that, you know, that we would want to change and look at, and maybe do it in May where it's a summary of these are the things that we discussed in ROCAC, and these are some things that going forward we might want to discuss. But again, those are not open public meetings. Those are strictly advisory in nature. So you may ask, so what other committees do you have? And what's open and what's not open. We also have the Employee Action Committee. That is a locally developed committee, just like ROCAC, and that is strictly for staff, and they meet twice a year, and they give us input as well on things they'd like to see addressed, problems they have, concerns they have, opportunities they would like to see come towards us. So you've got DAC, the EAC, and the ROCAC. Those are 3 of the committees. We also have the SHAC committee, which is the Student Health Advisory Council, and it is also required. It's not a local level, it's a required committee. They meet 4 times per year. So that is another committee, and that one is open to the public. That is an actual required committee. Now, what do we offer that would allow people to give more input? Because if some say, hey, I want to be able to give you input on those things you just said ROCAC is giving, we have tons of opportunity. Pretty much everything I discuss in ROCAC, I also discuss on Coffee Talk. Totally open. That's on our website. You can click on the button. Only problem is you got to get up early because we start having those at 7:30. So if you sleep in, you might miss it. You need to set your alarm so you can get there. So 7:45, we tweak that to 7:45. So those are totally open to the public. The only thing we say is when I get on, I say, if you're going to address an issue with a staff member or a student, don't call a name. Let's don't do that on here. Get with me later, get with the campus administrator later, because it's not a session where you get to get on and call out people. Coffee Talk is an input advisory time. Again, the same things we talked about in ROCAC, I've talked about in Coffee Talk. We talk about the facility planning, we talk about the dress code, we talk about 4-day instructional week, all of those things that ROCAC talks about. You have an opportunity to jump on the Coffee Talk as well and do that in a public way. Town halls are always open. We don't have any currently set, but I'll say sadly enough, we did have a lot of town halls, and those were We just didn't have anybody come. We had maybe the same 4 or 5 people come to every single one. So that was not something that we felt like we were addressing the public. That's why the coffee talk really is one that you can really do. If you want to really be involved, we have the Community Partner Academy that the Education Foundation puts on. You can put in an application for it, and it's amazing because it teaches you the operations and everything of the district. You can learn so much through that. Karen Anderson does a great job putting that together. We did have the Citizens Facility Planning Committee that was looking at the facilities and going forward with the bond last May. And that, again, was not an open. It was advisory, and it was not open. But for transparency, every time we had a meeting, we immediately posted all of the different slideshows and presentations on our website. Student Advisory Committee is just like ROCAC, but it's for the students. That's not an open meeting. It's strictly by invitation only. You always have the board meetings you can sign up at if you want to speak as well. We have the textbook committee meetings. Those are just during the adoption of textbooks. Someone asked the question, well, is ROCAC talking about curriculum? ROCAC it's not a advisory on the curriculum that's being adopted. When we say we're talking about curriculum, it might simply be, hey, what are your thoughts on, do you think there's a need in offering this? What do you think about, what are some of the needs you feel like we have in our community? What do you think about us spending the ESSER funds on these type of things? So it's more advisory. But textbook committees, they are not open, but we do have a public review meeting time where that the public can come look at those textbooks and give their input as well. So how can you get involved if you're not on a committee? Definitely tons of ways. I encourage you to get on the coffee talk. That we have so much information. Cabinet gets on the coffee talk. Our secondary principals get on the coffee talk. If there's a hot topic that I know that social media has hit, we have the directors of those on there as well, so we can answer those questions. We talk about a lot of things on there. So please, I encourage you to get on those coffee talks, and if you have concerns, if you have some things we can talk through, very, very open meetings where we talk about a lot of things. We also have parent universities. That's not just for parents. If you want to learn some things going on in the district, if you'll watch those, we have those elementary, we have those secondary, and also Chandra also puts those on from the ESC level as well. PTA meetings, booster clubs, open houses for our school. There are so many different ways to become involved and to give your input, and you can always email as well and let us know of anything, concerns that you have. Set up a time to speak with me or with anyone else that you would like to. So those are some things that I just wanted to express to everyone, that I know there was some things that hit social media that we had denying access to ROCAC. So again, those are not public meetings we are looking at, and I think the board might agree possibly to look at having a May one to where we can just kind of summarize it, and that way we have one for the year that would be open, so they can hear a summary of what we went over for the year at that point. But again, anything that's on ROCAC, we also discuss on Coffee Talk. Anybody's welcome to jump on Coffee Talk at any time. We do put you in a waiting room and then let you in, because we have been Zoom bombed before with people that didn't need to be on there that were doing things inappropriate. So if you go to a waiting room, don't think we're going to leave you there. We do ask that your name goes on there so that we know that it's actually a person that is coming into the meeting, because again, we did have some inappropriate things come on with some students at one time when we just put it out there for everyone. So I just wanted to give y'all that information.
So
Questions
on
from the
your
board?
ROCAC,
Yes.
how many, there's 40 to 50, the website says 40
Yes.
to 50 people. How are those people?
We have an application process that we actually put out and let people apply for that. Just to kind of give you some numbers on what it has been historically. In 1819, we had 50 on there. In 1920, we had 51. 2021, we had 52. 21-22, we had 60, and then 22-23, we currently have 48. So there is an application process. If you'll go on our website where you can apply, anyone that's already saying, I'm interested in coming, we encourage them to apply to be on there.
I was on that nation.
Yes, that's what I heard until you were elected, yes. I also
So
believe,
it's an
Ms. Porter, you might have been on until you were elected as well.
It's an election out of the applicants.
What we try to do is find a diverse group. If we have 30 teachers that want to get on there, we're not going to do that. We try to have parents from each school. We try to have community members. We try to have business owners. So we try to pick just a section of those who are interested in being on and interested in learning and contributing.
Can you serve on more than one committee?
Absolutely. You can serve on more than one. We try not to use the same person on every committee, but yes, you
Yeah.
can.
So can we consolidate that with the application times, dates, or when they normally would receive those applications? Somewhere on the website so that if somebody would like to participate, they're not having to go to every little section in the.
It's
in
big
our
button
thing.
front page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
just-
currently have it on community, but we can put a link on the front page where it goes to that.
That way it eliminates those questions of trying to hide something or
Yes.
trying to not be transparent. So.
Yes, and like I said, absolutely, anything we talk about, if you're on the ROCAT committee, we have never said, please don't go tell anybody what we said. We don't do that. We encourage them, hey, gather input. If we're asking about calendar, we like, go talk to your people and gather input. That, we don't ask them not to share. And anything that we talk about, again, is on Coffee Talk as well, in DAC as well. We hit those topics with all the different avenues, both public and meetings and the private meetings as well.
Do we need to just have somebody or each person that's in charge of a group go to their websites and just go through to make sure that there isn't a mistake after COVID, you know,
Right.
it kind of got lax, you got new people in there, so maybe we just need to scan
Revamp.
through each page of the web and say, okay, even some of the names I've noticed are, it's like, well, that's old. That person's not even
Right.
here anymore. So I almost think we need to kind of go back. I don't know who has to do that, but
Right.
look at the pages and make sure they're up to date. If they're not open meeting, take that out and,
Right. We can do that.
Just to kinda-
Absolutely.
So they're still holding those meetings by Zoom?
Yes, we're doing hybrid, actually. 3, I believe we set up 3 that are in person, and the rest are on Zoom. And so like our May meeting that I'm talking about, making it a public meeting, that one is actually in person. That would be our in-person meeting.
Website, and it's really not very clear about what is Zoom and what is person.
The first meeting, the December meeting, and the last.
In the May meeting.
And the ones on the committee would probably know if it's in person or.
And we do send a invitation. Ms. Trimble's really good about getting that out to them a couple of times. Just sending out the new Zoom link. Like I said, we do not publicize that Zoom link on the website because it is not an open meeting. But in the May meeting that we're talking about having open, it will be an in-person meeting, so they won't have to worry about a Zoom link. It will be in person. When we do in person, we don't do a hybrid as far as doing Zoom and in person at the same time. We just do in person.
When these people apply, they apply at the first of the year. They don't just come in the middle of the year.
That's correct.
So they have to start at the first.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that is correct.
So the first they apply in September or
I think we actually did that in August.
August?
I believe we
because
did
the
it in
first
August.
meeting is in
Yes,
September.
that's correct.
So anyone who wants to do that has to apply in August.
Yes, yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Can we
Put
put
that
that in a
somewhere.
central location with the dates? You need to apply by this date. This is what you use to apply. And it's black and white, right? So,
Yes, yep, we can definitely do that.
and if there's a problem, contact this person.
Yes, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Okay, and then on 6C, discussion of growth and facility planning. I talked to y'all a lot last month about the different avenues that we were looking at in order to address the growth, especially at the middle school. So just kind of bringing that back up for discussion again and letting the board know that in the event that they wanted to call for a bond election, that the deadline is February 17th. We do not have a board meeting scheduled in between now and February 17th, so that is the desire of the board. We would have to call a special meeting. It's not an item on the agenda for calling today. So I just wanted to put that date in your mind because I know y'all are going to probably want to discuss that as far as if there is a need for calling that. We know the need is there. The need for the middle school is there. We're listening to people and we're hearing, the timing may not be right, I honestly don't know if the timing will ever be right, but I definitely want us to consider what the people are saying, that they don't feel like anything has changed since the last election. They just don't feel like that there's anything that's changed that would make the outcome any different. But the need is definitely still there. Ms. Story, I just wanted to give you some information because you had asked, and I honestly did not know the answer as far as dollar amounts because you asked about the election as far as the cost of that. So I did get some things pulled for you just to let you know. The May 2021 election, there was not a bond, and it was $5,450. And then the May 2022 election was with a bond, and it was $5,350. So it's based on the voters and what is actually on there. So they don't actually like charge us like double if we put something else on. And that did come from our invoices from the elections committee. Now in November, the amount was much larger because we did not have a current election on the ballot, and it was a larger election, and they do divvy that up differently as far as the number of voters. So that one was actually $11,000 for the November election. So May 2021 was $5,450, May 2022 was $5,350, and then November, this past November, was $11,000. So I wanted to give you those figures because you had asked for those and I didn't have those last
I
time.
get them from the elections office.
Okay,
It's
okay.
good that we have that for everybody to hear.
Okay, all right.
You get them, but you ask for it? You get them, but you ask for it?
People to hear.
Okay.
What's wrong with people hearing?
Oh, well, you could just share that, hey, I got the number, instead of having somebody else go dig up the information.
So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out for discussion as well. I mean, is there any questions y'all have for me? Again, it's not on the agenda as an action item. If you choose that you feel like there's a need, then y'all could let Mr. Anderson know, and he can ask me and we can call a special election. But otherwise, it is not on this agenda to
Why-
call an election.
Okay, so who puts the criteria together for the bond? Because the school board does it.
As far as the amount and what is
Well,
asked for?
Yeah, the
Yes.
features of the bond.
Yes.
What you're asking for, who creates that?
Okay, we are still going off of the Citizens Facility Planning Committee and the actual plan that we now purchased and own from Corrigan. We definitely don't want to purchase another plan. That one we own. That was something that was requested. What are we going to actually build that the voters asked for? So we did pay Corrigan in order to get that plan. So that is still the same plan that we would use. It still suffices for the number of students as far as growth, looking several years out. It still suffices for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It does include the practice track and practice field and tennis courts that are required. And it still includes the loop that would be anywhere from 250 to 300 cars off of the roadway.
So what about considering what we did before, first through, the elementaries are first through 6th grade? And we had drawn in the 230 million proposal, that bond.
Mm-hmm.
There were two schools, Wooten and Eastridge, that the consideration was to just add a cafeteria and, which would be the storm shelter.
That's correct.
And on the interior, there would be now no kitchen and cafeteria. So each of those schools could have 8 more classrooms.
Yes.
So if you put 20 students in each of those, you'd have 320 students covered in those 2 schools. And then if we have 5 elementaries. We have 481 students, according to the last record I have, of the students that are 6th grade in the middle school.
Yeah. If you'll remember when we went through all of these were the 2 schools that we needed. That was actually for growth. And that's why we were proposing that we did that add-on. And those are the campuses we now have portables at. And so the actual bond was for the growth of students at that place that we could actually rezone if we needed to for the students, because those are pre-K through 5th grade. They're not first. So we'd have our pre-K and kindergarten students all the way to 6th grade. And I don't know that parents would want pre-K and kindergarten on a campus with a 6th grader.
You know, when we read the report that's in our report right here and has been in our report that tells us how many students are in each campus?
Yes.
At each grade?
Yes.
And it tells us how many remaining spots.
Yes.
We have remaining spots in every campus.
We do have remaining spots, and those numbers do change monthly as you look at them. But if you're looking at projected growth, one of the things that the No Group notoriously has said is, why didn't you go for bond back during COVID? You knew we were going to grow. And so definitely we know we're going to grow. There are developments going up right now as we speak, and there are going to be more children come into the district. So it wouldn't make sense to move a class down for 1 year, and then we have the growth, and then we need to shift them again. Again, we can do things, but they're Band-Aided things. They're not going to work for growth in a couple of years. I had some people ask, I think it was actually through the Citizens Academy, that they were asking, well, you know, what are you going to do if we do a sixth grade center? Because we talked about that. You know, if we tried to remodel and do the old Shields as a sixth grade center, again, we'd require a bond. We don't have the funds to be able to make that building to where it would be able to open up. It would need a storm shelter. We'd have to add a cafeteria to it that would be the storm shelter. We'd have to have the gym as well added. So it would require a bond. So it, to me, would not be a good use of taxpayer money to actually create just a Band-Aid for something when we know the projected growth is going to continue to grow. Now, do our numbers fluctuate, Ms. Story? Absolutely. We look at those numbers literally every Tuesday in cabinet, and the elementary principals could agree with you. We're constantly looking at their teachers. You know, do you have more fourth graders this year than you did last year, but you have less third graders? So we shift the teachers. We don't hire more teachers. We look to where we can shift those as well. So absolutely, those numbers will change. What's going from fifth grade to sixth grade and what's going out from eighth grade to ninth grade, that's going to change those numbers. And then we'll have to look at the growth on top of that as well. So you're absolutely correct. Those numbers do change.
So we have usually an overflow in DAEP, and right now, are we using any of our portables for DAEP?
Yes, ma'am.
So were those intended to take the overflow from the middle school?
Yes, we actually were using the old CTE building, what we call CTE building. We were using some of those classrooms for the overflow DAEP. So now we're using those for middle school classrooms. And so we've moved the DAEP out into the portables. So that freed up more space in the CTE building for middle school classrooms.
Do we have any administration in the CTE building?
The very front office, when you walk in, the front office, there is an administrative area, and you're going to have an AP in there. They have a area where they can have their meetings. If you'll go down the hallway, you're also going to have residency in there. If you go down the hallway, there was 2 rooms that we had for administration. We took one of those away and turned that into a classroom. But we do have one little office area that we kept out, that we have Miss Watts in there for the student services. But there was an office that was Miss Knight's that we converted into classroom.
We have 2, according to the sign that's out there, we have 2 of our student support services and so forth. We have 2 different ones reported on the sign saying they're administrative, but they're in CTE.
Christy Watts is student services, and she's over in that area. Then we've moved Tony Wallace over to ESC. We've moved him over here, so he's over here now, but Christy Wallace has an office over there. And then just when you walk in, like I said, that administrative office when you first walk in. I believe we're changing something on the sign. The sign's gone. That was brought to our attention last month, I believe. And so we did fix that. That sign is gone.
Because it did say Student and Family Services, which was me when I was employed there.
Yes.
And it also had Education Foundation, and those weren't back there anymore.
So that sign's been removed.
So we have no administration in CTE.
Miss Watts. We have Miss Watts over there.
And we need her there because
She serves the DAEP as administrator as well. And so she is right there, close proximity to DAEP. And it also allows her to help with the middle school students as well that are in that building.
so the CTE is all now for students.
for students, except for just those two areas I just talked about, the entrance and then her office sits in there. That is
But
correct.
we have students from DAEP now in our.
Portables, yes.
And the portables were originally purchased to house the overflow of the middle school.
Yes, and what we did, instead of putting the kids for the main classrooms in the portables and leaving the DAEP in the CTE building, we flip-flopped that so that it's actually classrooms in the CTE building and then the DAEP classrooms in the portables. So it did help alleviate some rooms. We just moved those kids out of the CTE building.
So how are we doing with our children over at Texas State Technical College? Do we have students over there?
Absolutely. We have high school classes over there. Jennifer Jeter serves as our administrator over there. She is handles our CTE, and she is our actually assistant principal at that campus as well. But yes, we do. We have classrooms over there. That helps to eliminate some of the overcrowding at the high school.
So what will we do with our overflow of DAEP when we don't have portables anymore? What will we do?
We'll buy more portables.
What would you suggest we do?
Well, what about, so does DAEP have a cafeteria for that? No?
No.
They never have been able to go to the cafeteria. They bring their lunch to them.
Okay. So we have anywhere from, right now we have 55 children there in DAEP.
Actually, more
Yeah,
right now.
we've had
Yeah.
87.
Yeah.
And we're cubicle, I think, for 65 originally. That was the design originally. And so we have usually that filled or more.
Yes, and let me explain too, there's different levels of the DAEP. Say, for example, Ms. Story, you and I get into a fist fight in the hallway, and they do a stay away agreement, and we are not allowed to be each other. Well, you got to go to DAEP, and I have to go to DAEP, but we can't be around each other. So that's why we have different areas. So you might go to the main campus DAEP, and I might go to the portable, and it's decided by different things. So if I'm, say, let's make me the bad guy. Say I'm the one that's a returning DAEP student, and I've been there for several times for fighting, then I'm going to be the one that's going to be in the main DAEP building. But say it's your first offense and you haven't been in trouble before, then you might go to the portable because that's a lesser, even though they're in cubicles, that's still a lesser thing, and we're away from each other. Those stay away agreements are then honored.
Okay. So DAEP, how about Old Shield? We don't have to have a bond, we don't have to make a cafeteria, we don't have to have a gym, and that is licensed for 200 enrollees at this time.
Okay, putting it where? I'm sorry, Miss, I didn't. Old
You
Shields?
don't have to add anything to it in the way of a cafeteria or a gym.
It would still have to be classroom. We'd still have to make it into classrooms. At this point, I don't see any reason to move them over there. We have them by the police department. They're easily accessible with administrators. If I moved them over there, I'm going to have to move some administrators over there. I'm going to have to hire police officers to go over there. And because of the nature of it. And so honestly, that would cost the district more money in employees when right now it's sitting in an area where we can utilize those same administrators and those same officers in that area.
Portable.
I'm sorry?
So we're using portable.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
as the population grows, will we use more portable?
Yes, that's correct. Without a bond, we'd have to add more portables.
But we can't use Shield because Old Shield.
But most of the ones in DAP or middle and high school kids.
Yes.
That old building was designed for elementary kids, so you've got big kids that are going to go use the potty and be on the floor. So you're going to have to revamp all of that for it to fit a bigger kid. So it's still going to cost money for the district to have to redo it.
Revamp the bathroom and put in standard size commodes. I mean,
I
instead
think
of.
when you say these things, but I don't think you think like
Oh, I thought.
on the bigger scale of what all is entailed.
I'm
Like
asking.
you're literally thinking that taking kids away from closer to a function over here where it makes sense to put them somewhere else to resolve the issue that you don't want to get a new middle school to handle the overcrowding. So you like make these things up and they make sense in your head, and I get that. But logistically, they do not make sense. And they're not going to make sense just because you keep repeating them.
Around our children, we have to separate them.
So put them over by the daycare so they're
put
over
them
there.
with the
No, not in the daycare's not there. That is the detention center.
No, I'm talking about, you're saying move them to the
To
Shields
Shields,
building. That's where the
No,
daycare is.
daycare won't be there.
Where's it gonna be?
I don't know.
Well, no.
Is that your decision?
We talked about
That's
that
a
in the last
discussion.
meeting when I
That-
asked you, where are you
That is
putting
a
these
board
kids?
discussion.
You've
Where
not
will we
answered
put-
that question yet.
That's a board discussion. We need a building for DAEP. We need space.
We
You
need a
didn't
new
want portable.
middle school.
You did not want
And you keep
portable.
voting no. You
did
put it on
not-
the ballot, but then you stand outside
And
and tell
vote no.
people no. You ran your 2020 campaign on, yes, you did want growth, but it's only growth as you see it, not as what's necessary. That's two different things. Growing only in your mind is different from actual people that need to be in places that make logistical sense. That's not growth.
The
That's a lot of
demographics
lip
show
service.
in 2026 and 2030 in our reports that our growth is not up, it's down.
With all due respect, Penny, this is not the age of Little House on the Prairie. All the kids can't go to school in one building and bring their lunch every day, okay?
We're
We
only
have to
talking about
move
DA.
forward as the world moves forward with it. You know that. You make trips to Austin. You make all the talks in the world. You're on all kinds of committees, and they're all about growing, okay? When you were in school, you did not have the internet. We grew. You use it now. That's growth. Grow with it. You have to keep moving forward. If you don't, then you're going to lose a lot because you're just sitting here doing absolutely nothing to help those kids. We just looked at the taper report. John just discussed how our kids may not be ready. Are we doing what's necessary? Yes, in the classroom, there might be just 20 of us, but if we're all out in the center and we don't have room to grow, we cannot grow. You can't keep ignoring the fact that you don't want to grow when, again, you ran your campaign on voting for growth for a possible new high school, possible new elementary, how we're fiscally responsible. Oh, I've seen your webpage because I ran against you that year. So I know it's there. And that's reelect you because of those things. But then you sit here and pretend like you don't know what's going on when you yourself voted yes. And then you stand out in the streets and say, don't do that. And you've got that look on your face like you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you want, I will bring it up for you on your website. I don't know if you handle your own website, but for your reelection and somebody else is doing it for you, but it's out there and it's for public knowledge. And since I ran against you in 2020, I saw it. It's
I
there.
have it printed. I hand it to people what I ran on. Everything I run on is printed. And it is handed out.
Lord. Even when you
Okay.
vote for yes.
I can't make it make sense for you. I cannot.
Well, the point is that the board does not decide what the issues are that need to be on the ballot or need to be.
You're absolutely right. We vote on it. And you voted yes, and then stood out there and put your no shirt on and said no to people that came
Well,
through. So hypocrisy is not something I
wait
can
a
respect
minute.
or
Do
deal
we
with.
know-
So I'm going to
wait a
stop right
minute.
now.
Did we know about the road on Westmoreland not being adequate?
When you voted on it to put a school over there, did you know? Because it's in Ovilla, which Red Oak ISD services. Ovilla is part of our family. So
That
yes,
is correct, but maintaining the road is not the county, it's Ovilla taxpayers.
But the road, just to kind of clarify, if on the roadway, our buses, I mean, you're welcome to go ride a bus anytime you want to. Our buses go down roads much smaller than Westmoreland Road. And we told people we are actually going to improve the frontage. We're going to make the turn lanes. Are we going to keep the road up? No, we don't keep Lewis Ritter up, and we don't keep all of the other roadways up that our schools are on. That's up to either the state, the county, or the cities that they belong to. But That's with any of our schools. So
Maintain Westmoreland.
absolutely, that's in their vicinity.
The town of Avila. And
Yes.
it's a small town, and it has to maintain Westmoreland in front of the property that was designated for. Did we know that when that was presented to? the
That was
board?
presented to the board as far as the voting to purchase Westmoreland. So,
all of that
and
was
it was a
explained?
unanimous vote.
No, when that property was before being purchased.
Yes,
And it was brought and said, hey, we found this piece of property.
yes. Did we know it was Ovilla?
Did we know
Absolutely.
that Avila maintained that road?
Yes.
Everybody on the board knew
Who,
Avila
who,
maintained.
who would you thought it would, who would have maintained it?
The county normally maintains those types of roads.
Only two.
I know.
No.
Not inside the
Well,
city.
it's okay with me. I don't live in Avila, but the Avila people are going to pay to maintain the road.
But
And
the
they
information given to them was you're going to have tax hikes to have to take care of that road. That's a very good road. I don't know if you travel it very much or not. I mean, there are so, like I said, there are so many roads that our buses go on that they have to be
How much of the
maintained.
frontage of that piece of property,
Mhm.
how much is going to have to be used for widening? Because according to the commissioners who handle the roads, that road does not have enough easement on its own. So some of Red Oak's property will have to be dedicated
Absolutely.
to expanding beyond
Yes.
the easement to come in there. So how was that all?
That was
explained?
in the plan that Corrigan presented as far as the turn lanes and everything to get them in. That was in the plan that was presented.
It may not have been said verbally, hey, this is part of it, but it was certainly included. I mean, you're talking about 40 acres or whatever that's there that we own. That's certainly going to be included in the widening side of it to allow for our equipment to come into the parking lot.
Yeah.
Have you driven down Pratt Road with a bus coming at you? Because I've done that quite often lately going that way. There's kids that go on Pratt Road and that bus barely goes down it. It would not be any different there. And Red Oak taxpayers are paying for that versus over there. What are we looking at? We're arguing over a street instead of a building to put our kids in to teach them that you push that we do math, English, science. Let's get back to our kids, Penny. Quit going out there barking on all this little stuff. And yes, you do, because you get with your people and you meet with them and you go out and like she said, you voted to put this on the bond. And then you turn around and push out your printed papers all over town and call us liars. You're not.
There's no personal mention of anything on anything I put out.
But when you put it out that the board is lying or your friends say the board are liars, I'm a board member and I'm not lying when I'm giving the facts.
But if you stoke the fire, you're contributing.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you know that $94 million bond was going to have $74 million of interest and would be $169 million added to the 7 bonds we had for 110 plus the maintenance for 5 million, and the total debt would be $284 million?
Penny, when you kick it down the road, it's only getting greater, hun. It's not going down.
Not necessarily.
Yes, ma'am.
If we took
Yes,
those
ma'am.
if we revamped our schools and put the 6th grade back in the elementaries, and we did the 2 modifications, we can put 320 children in that school, and still, that's not the leftover rooms. Look at your report. Your report says you have classrooms you're not using now.
You're talking about,
Real estate.
you're talking about adding, you're talking about fitting 300 kids. Yeah, but when we first put out the middle school, you said it wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not talking
It-
about the middle school. I'm
Well, it's all about the
talking
growth.
What do you
What
do
difference
for-
does it make? You're talking about these spots.
It isn't big enough.
These spots are great if it's the right spots that we need to be able to put kids. But some of those spots are in kindergarten. Some of those spots are in first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade,
How
fifth
many
grade.
students do we have per class?
I have no
grade
idea.
level.
It change, it's probably different every level.
It is. And it
Every
changes
campus.
daily. It does. It changes.
Not Little House on the Prairie.
Are you talking about in a classroom? Do we have a limit? No, ma'am. But we do have a limit. If we get, say we get kindergarten first and elementary teachers, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, kindergarten first, second, third, and fourth. If we get up to 24 or more in a classroom, we look at possibly giving you either a para that helps support that classroom, because right now there's not enough classroom teachers, or if we can find a classroom teacher,
What do we
then
have
yes, we
now?
can.
I'm asking today, because when we advertise on places, we advertise that we have a student to teacher ratio of 15 or sometimes 18.
That's average. Whenever they do that average, you're talking about some of these outlier classes that might have 6 to 10 kids. I'm just going to pick one. Miss Jackson, second grade. What is your average in a teacher's classroom? What would you say? About 20. Okay. All right. So about 20 there. Miss Stone, what? 21. Okay. 22. Okay. 21? Okay. And if we have one that is that way in the beginning of the year, do we flip your teachers to where your class numbers are? We don't just go hire additional teachers, we flip. Okay. So I don't know if that helps answer that question or not, but that's about the average.
Read the website, and the
Right.
website says that our ratio is 15 to 1
Yeah.
or 18 to 1.
Do more than read a website. Go substitute during the day. So that gives you like a better perspective and something to do during the day. Go substitute. Go volunteer. Go get involved in that classroom, and then ask yourself, do they need some more space? Walk on the campus
Well,
while things
that's
are
an
going
issue,
on,
'cause I
and then
did
say,
walk
do
on
they
the
need more
campus
space in
and told
here?
them to.
It's easier
just have to check
go
in at the
get
front.
involved and have a better idea because you can see it with your own eyes instead of just reading everything off of a website. Go see. Go tomorrow.
well,
Are you
that's-
busy? I'll go with you. I don't even have to go to work tomorrow. We can go together.
Well, and at
I'm
one
not
time,
joking.
at one time, we did have all 5th and 6th graders in the Shupman building. We've outgrown that. So that was 2 grade levels right there in that building. Then we moved them all around. So it's like, look down the street. Look at all of these apartments that are coming in. Look over there you think those those people aren't gonna come here and we're not gonna grow?
Have you looked at the rent?
Have I looked at what?
The rent on those?
People are renting them because the house 2 doors down from me is sky high, in my opinion. That's why I'd rather buy a house than to rent a house. But I can guarantee my taxes are more than what yours are renting per year. So I'm paying more because I own my house. You may pay taxes, but you're not paying what I am. But yet you're out here barking about the taxes. I'm sorry, Penny. It's about the kids. That's why we're here. And I'm tired of this stuff.
30-year bond, and you have children in our school for 12 years, or 13, 12 years, depending on if they started pre-K or K. And they graduate, and they won't live here. They have a debt that they.
So how else are we going to build a building?
Do you have an input to somebody that can give us all this money?
I was going to say, we can do what was on the 230 bond, I call it, the one for 230 million. We had proposals there. I'm just using what was there. I didn't create anything new. It was part of the bond for 230 to take those 2 schools and to create that extra space. And the price was $14 million. That's $28 million.
Okay, let me kind of go back and just, the 230 was different propositions. And we did have a proposition that had to build a CTE building to address the overcrowding at the high school and growth. We did have to do Wooden and Eastridge to address growth. And we did have building a new middle school as well. And so I don't know what else to call them, the opposition said, we only want a middle school. We only want a middle school. That doesn't get rid of the fact that we know we still need to add on either a new elementary or add on to the other ones. That doesn't, we still know we need a CTE building. We still know those needs are there, but we're prioritizing them. So we're not rid of the need at the elementaries for growth. We just prioritized. That's what they asked for. Middle school only. We want no tax rate increase, and we want to see what we're getting. Those were the three things that were told. So that's the three things that we gave. Our hope was that that bond would pass, would have our kids in a building by 2025, and then, I'm sorry? Yeah, and we just pushed it out again. So, yeah, we just pushed it out again. So now we're going to 4 years.
Thank you for that.
Can do something for far less and house those children and take the crowding out of the middle school.
You're only adding 8 classrooms per campus to the deal is what that changing the cafeterias over. It ain't enough, honey. It ain't enough.
320 children, and you've got 400 children. That's in 2 schools.
At some point, I want you to just be about the kids and to push with us instead of against us. Can we do that? I've asked you that before, point blank, and you said yes. And still, we come back to this and come back to this and come back to this.
Behind the proposed plan.
We're certainly not putting a stadium that was on that flyer
No.
that got passed out. We have never talked about.
That's mandatory by the state, hon.
We have to have an area. Yeah, but something that was passed out, and I don't know who passed it out, said we were going to put a new stadium, and that is not true. It's a practice field out there. That's going behind the school. That's not on the extra acreage. And well, right now, nothing. We would have to get a bond to put something else out there.
So you get a bond to build your school, your practice, and your tennis courts, and the second practice field. Well, so what is going on the remaining land?
Well, right now,
Can we
nothing.
just build the first one, the first part first?
No, not until we know. And
But,
when I
but, that's,
asked
but,
you,
but that's what you said that you would do, and you continue to go against it, ma'am. You continue to go against it.
what we would do with
Be
that.
for kids,
you
Betty.
said-
Be
So
for
if
kids.
we did, if you want an elementary,
We could put another
we
elementary.
could, but it's a bigger bond.
But I need you to be on board with us.
Well, I'm trying to get a.
That's on your website too, that you voted for.
We've been
Penny,
reasonable.
here's the problem, Penny.
Elementary.
You're part of the group because you have the signs, you got the T-shirt. You know, we can talk about bonds all day long, but from your group, from you, it don't matter if it's a dollar bond. You're against bonds.
I just said.
That's what y'all say. I'm against bonds. No bonds. No bonds. No bonds. No bonds. No bonds. So, you know, in my personal opinion, we're wasting the time. You're saying $14 million, $28 million. Where'd you get those numbers from?
The 230 bond advertising, I took it right off of what was there.
But
It
you're-
shows the 2 schools.
Those are correct.
$14 million each,
But it's not going to correct your problem.
and that does correct.
No, it doesn't.
That's a Band-Aid.
All right. So
All right.
let's move on.
Okay, did y'all have any other questions for me on that part?
I don't have any other questions. I think that we ought to do another open discussion like we did at the PAC building.
Okay,
It's great that, you know, board members can talk about it, but get input from your community. Let people voice their opinions. We can open it up like we did last time.
okay.
We can't do the Delphi technique again. If you're gonna have meetings that people want to input in, but using the system that you use with a certain number of invited people, with the papers, that is called the Delphi technique.
What are you talking about? I'm talking about having an open meeting. If you want to show up, you show up. There's no sign up or anything else.
I thought you were telling her to go back to the citizens.
No, I didn't say anything about the citizens community. I said let's have an open meeting just like we did last time in the PAC building.
Very good.
And if it's open, if you want to show up, show up. If you don't want to show up, then stay home
Very good.
and keep your mouth shut. So,
Very good.
I mean,
And on that agenda, go ahead and put an action item for the calling of the bond so it can be decided.
But what are we gonna call? Who's gonna decide?
it's a discussion to get input, and then we can decide whether or not, as a board, do we call a bond or do we not call a bond?
Well, we have to know what we're calling the bond for. The board does not, I want the people to understand, the board does not create.
We understand that. It's for the middle school.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's what was up for November partially what was up in May, got whittled down to the middle school. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about a football stadium over here. We're not renovating anything. It's not part of the high school. It's not part of CTE. It's the middle school on the Old Villa side, just like it was in November. What's confusing about that?
Nothing except the road is.
Okay.
I cannot.
So we will, okay, so we will,
The bond, it is not.
we will communicate that out. We will communicate, they can break all that out, so that there's questions about the road.
Did she say
they'll
she
break all
live
that
in
out.
Ovilla?
Yeah. No problem, they can, it wasn't detailed out, but we can specify and detail all that out. Oh, I'm not arguing, I'm just saying they can do that.
I would like it.
Okay, we'll do that, because you want it.
February 9th.
Are we meeting
February
tomorrow,
9th?
Penny?
No, I have a meeting tomorrow.
What about Wednesday?
I can
Wednesday, please.
Can y'all, everybody look at your calendar, can you meet February 9th?
We could,
I'll make room.
Is that a Monday?
that's on a Thursday.
Oh, I'm going back. I'll help me get in February. Yeah, I'll make it work.
Okay.
Can you
Ms.
get
Temple,
that?
if you will.
I'll make it work.
Can you get that on the agenda? Can we put it on Facebook? Can we do mail outs? Can we put it in the newspaper?
Yes.
Do flyovers with a plane with a little thing behind it?
Penny, get the word out.
Every way we can communicate that out. Tell all your friends. Yeah?
Okay, and then we'll just do we'll do it as a facility workshop, so there's going to be public input with an action item, correct? In the event that y'all can
We
decide
should-
yes or no.
Well, we have to call it by the 16th,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
So
17th, yes, sir,
Or
that's correct.
17th.
Okay.
If we're going to call it, that's the night we'll call it.
Okay.
If we want to push it out, then we'll push it out.
Okay, we can do that.
And we-
But just for the public knowledge, we have not decided to put the bond on yet, as
No.
it is out there in social media. Because people are already saying, we've already decided that we're placing it on there, and we have not.
No.
I have 0 social media, so.
Well, you have friends that do, and it's
Well,
already out
you know,
there that we've passed a bond. You can look at mine anytime
I
you
don't
want.
look at it. I am not on social media.
When you have
That's
your
not true,
friends
ma'am.
that are, and
Okay.
they post it for you.
I need that gavel in the video. Where is that gavel at? Johnny needs some Whataburgers. Look at him over there.
Brenda, what?
right.
Could we do it at 6:30? Would that work? So that we can have a little more
Yeah.
time? 6:30 is tough. You want it at 7?
Yeah, we hear if you do it at 6, you're doing it because you're trying to keep people out, because everybody works. Do it at 7. You know, we all have jobs too. We make it across at 7 o'clock, so if you can make it at 7, make it at 7.
Okay, 7 o'clock. Okay,
I go to the doctor.
okay.
Hold on
and-
one second. Go ahead. How many kids in 6th grade?
Mr. Waller? That's okay.
It's 500 and
181. There is a report on our meeting time.
485.
There you go.
485.
Today.
Okay. So
That concludes my,
that concludes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So that's just 6th grade,
You're
right?
done with superintendent.
I'm done, I'm sorry.
That's not 6, 7, and 8.
It's just a 6th grade campus. All right. We are going to move, and now we have open forum. We have 2 that have signed up to speak in open forum. These are in no particular order. Mandy Garcia. So just before you start, I'm going to ask you to just state your name. You don't have to state your address where you live. They changed all that. You have 2 minutes on the clock. Once you're ready, kind of giving them the thumbs up. He's running the clock back there.
Okay.
And just the clock's behind me. You can see the countdown. So.
Okay. I'm Mandy Garcia. All right, I'm ready. Tonight I come to you petitioning the approval of placing the bond on the next ballot. When my husband and I moved into this city 3 years ago from Illinois, we're drawn to the fact that Red Oak was growing while still having that Friday Night Lights feel. If you haven't noticed, our community is continuing to grow and grow at a rapid rate. This is something that simply cannot be ignored. I am a mom of 3 children that are all attending here in Red Oak ISD. And as their mom, it's time for my voice to be heard as many as others. We are not just wanting a new middle school, this is a necessity. It is foolish to think that with all the new housing developments that are going up, that they will not occupy any students, and most of these homes will bring these students into our schools. So what is the solution to rectify the overcrowding issue? Like Mrs. Sanford has stated before, bring me solutions, not a Band-Aid fix. What happens to Band-Aids when they no longer work? They break or fall off. These students are getting lost, and it's not the fault of our administrators and staff because they can only be as successful as the tools they are given. Not only am I a Red Oak ISD parent, but I'm a very proud employee. Currently, I'm the district campus supervisor in our student nutrition department. And daily, I'm visiting these campuses and see the struggles these children are having to do scarfing down their lunches because we are over capacity and have limited time to get these kids through these lunch lines. Our middle school is serving over 900 students daily with only 3 serving lines. And as a parent of a student in the 7th grade, this is concerning. While I know he will not see the benefits of these new middle school, my 2nd grader and my pre-care, who I would not allow a 6th grader to accompany with, who has special needs, will get to see these benefits. In addition, I'm asking you, if you vote yes to place this on the ballot, that you also advocate for our kids during the election, which means voting yes to the bond. If you truly have my children and all of these kids at their best interests at heart, you're going to support them by giving what they need.
Thank you. Next, we have Hanson Yang. This is not public comment. That's you? They're out there before the meeting. Up to, yes, they were.
You're just not a problem.
You have to sign up before the meeting at 7 o'clock. We have a person that sits out there every night. Okay. Again, just state your name. You're ready to go. Clock will start. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Hanson Inyang. I live at 114 Carroll Lane. I'm a citizen of Bright Oak, Texas. Thank you for having me. I did not prepare a speech today. Maybe next time when we talk, I will. But today, I was on the way from work, and I have somewhere to be tomorrow to speak with our state senator and our representative, Harrison, in Austin, Texas, with a fraternity of mine, Alpha Phi Alpha. I am here because it's important to me, and I want to let you know also that, I showed up at 6:59. I got one of these, and they had a stack of purple papers that I ended up putting my name on because they're there. Okay, so I apologize that you didn't make it on time, but I'm sure they will have them next time. This is my first time speaking in front of the school board, but I want to say just a few things to the school board itself and our parents, teachers, staff, and community members. First of all, school board, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here, for showing up, and for doing your jobs. I know that it's probably not easy. It's an elected job, and sometimes you're going to hear some things that are absolutely absurd sometimes, and then other times maybe raise a few eyebrows, things of that nature. I want to thank the parents and teachers that show up every day, the teachers especially, because I know that you treat these kids like they're yours. I have 2 kids in Red Oak Elementary School, and I know that the job isn't easy, but it is a daily job that you can't walk away from. You have to show up daily. I want to say that there are committees that exist, including the one in question that was brought up today, but for any of the naysayers and some even slanderers that say these bad things, it's okay to question. But my question to you is, are you showing up? If you are not, then maybe you should reserve what you're saying for a session like this so that you can fill out a paper on time and then speak your word. But we have children, and if you don't have a kid in this district, maybe you're in the wrong place. Not just biologically, but all these children are yours, and you should treat it as such.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll move into Okay, thank you. Motion to move over to our action items at the consent agenda. Is there anything that you'd like to be removed to discuss?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion by Ms. Peterson, a second by Mr. Knight. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Consideration and approval of general election order for the Red Oak Independent School District trustee election on May 6, 2023. Ms. Sapp.
Yes, this is for the annual General Board of Trustees of Red Oak Independent School District on May the 6th, 2023 for places number 3, 4, and 5. And the administration recommends that the board approve the order of election calling a general trustee election.
Anybody have any questions? Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the order of election calling a general trustee election.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Peterson, a second by Ms. Knight. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7-0. Consideration and approval of secondary level new course proposals for the 2023-2024 school year. Ms. Sulak.
Okay, it seems like this year we've had a lot of opportunities to revisit this. A lot of times it's just a once a year thing. We have in the past offered Spanish and French and American Sign languages for our students at the high school level. The number of students enrolled in French has dropped over the years to where it really isn't a full-time position. So we've worked on phasing that out gradually to finish the kids that had started it. ASL this year has been a real challenge. It's American Sign Language. We had a teacher last year. We were not able to fill with a certified teacher this year, so we hired someone who is certified in sign language, but not a certified teacher. But our District of Innovation allowed us to do that. We have faced some challenges with class sizes there, some challenges with needing additional support because that wasn't a certified teacher, so we needed somebody to be teacher of record. We have had to bring in some curricular support. American Sign Language, we have the student interest, but we can't staff it like we need to staff it. If you call the places that offer online support or the classes where they virtual a teacher into you, even they are not finding American Sign Language teachers. That is not a program that I feel we can sustain. I think Mr. Gatewood would echo that. It has been a struggle this year to sustain it for the kids. We have a plan to all the kids that are currently in that need it to complete their year. We can offer it through the summer and make that end there. What we are proposing, the addition to the catalog, is to offer French and German for our students in addition to our regular Spanish face-to-face, but offer French and German in a language lab where they wouldn't have a teacher in the classroom. It would be a virtual teacher. But for students who want to do something other than Spanish, who have the self-initiative to do that, we would provide them support and tutors, but they would get their instruction from an online resource just to make a language other than Spanish available to them. Is it our first choice or ideal? No, but language teachers are becoming harder and harder to find. And to sustain that program for our kids, we are proposing this because it is sustainable for the long term. We're not going to have to next year go, oh, we can't offer that anymore. This is a plan that we can continue to offer those two languages for the foreseeable future and not have to staff somebody here for a handful of kids that isn't a full-time FTE. It's a way that we can still offer them, but do it as fiscally responsibly as possible. Question. I know there's questions.
So along those lines, I fully agree that ASL should be deleted, should be out of our catalog course. It's currently terribly being serviced. Period. Secondly, are there other languages that we can add? If we're able to add French and German so easily, can we add Chinese? Can we add Japanese?
So Edgenuity offers, I want to get this
Mandarin.
right, French, German, Chinese, Latin, and Spanish. Because we offer face-to-face Spanish, we did not consider that as an option for virtual. We want to continue to do that only face-to-face. Of the other four, French and German were the ones that appear to have the most interest among our students. And because we've never done this full language lab before, we thought do something that we can kind of ease into. And if it goes well, then we can add the other two in the future.
So are we basing it off of interest? Or are we basing it off of what the most common languages of the world are used with a broad brush?
Right now, we did student interest because we're dependent on students being willing to commit to that virtual learning. And so they really have to have a commitment to it. So that's why we went off the student interest to start with. Plus, finding the tutors readily available for those two would be, we feel, the most readily available to us to offer that support. It is not these are the only two we're ever going to offer. We were asked to choose two and ease into it. Latin, while it has a lot of applications, my sister took Latin. She doesn't ever regret it, but it's not a colloquial language of today. It's more for people going into the medical field or something like that who need that language background. Chinese, while it is a very common language in the world, it would be harder for us to support starting out.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You got Portuguese and you got Brazilian Portuguese.
Right.
I know there was a difference, but the basics are the same. You ever foresee maybe that language coming about?
We are certainly open to considering anything that there's a need and interest for. Right now, the 5 languages that I mentioned that we can access through Edgenuity, that's a program we already pay for. They're already included in that cost. So again, being fiscally responsible, that's something that we can try out, do a test run of the language labs and not be out a lot of money to do it. ASL was an addition to our Edgenuity program, so it came with a pretty hefty price tag, but it's what we needed to do to get through the year.
So kind of answer your question, Johnny, is the basic what they teach in Spanish is they start with the Portuguese.
I understand they're similar in languages, because I have a number of friends that will tell you there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences.
Right.
But, if you understand Spanish, a lot of times you can get by, and then I understand a certain amount of Portuguese, but
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Since currently we're supported ASL through the Edgenuity program, is it going to be so? It's going to sound backhanded, and so I'll just say it that way. Are they going to support these two as well as they support ASL?
ASL is technically a different program. It's like a third-party vendor through Edgenuity. So what we'll get through pure Edgenuity is, I would say better. That's not the right word.
Well, here's the thing: is they struggle to support it right now. I have a student in ASL. I have a couple students who come through my home who are ASL students, and it's not been a good program. Yep. And if we're looking to do another language through them and it's a virtual, that's gonna, unless we have like full support from them, I don't want to give our kids just something that they can Velcro to and then not have the support that we need.
Will have the full support. The difference in ASL is that you can't listen to, like, there's a lot of the language programs have like recordings in them. ASL doesn't have that. And so grading ASL. I tell
my kid all the time, tell me ASL in Spanish.
There you go. Grading ASL takes someone who can sign and understand sign. And the other option, depending on the number of kids we have in the language lab, is to pay the per student fee to do a live instructor through them. I mean, we have a lot of options that ASL doesn't have when you get into the other languages. It is a fully supported Edgenuity program, not a third party. And again, we are looking at what we think that we can, not think, we know because we've made some contacts, what we can provide tutors for. So if a student is struggling, we can provide a.
Do we have some people that some peers that are using this program currently that they're having success with it?
We are not currently offering any languages through the Pure Edgenuity.
No. Do we have other
schools.
other schools that are using this pro? Here's the thing.
Yes.
I don't want to adopt this and not have some feedback and to know that they're being adequately supported.
Right.
If it's gonna fail, because I don't want to do this again in 2 years, right? I don't want to add something just to add something, and I don't want to take something away just to take something away. But if it's quality and we're able to measure it, I'm okay with it. But if we don't know that it's going to be good enough, then I still think that you need to
at a
delete
district
ASL.
our size. I feel like we need to offer options for our kids.
Sure.
We want to offer options
Sure.
for our kids. If we don't offer anything, all we have is Spanish. I think a district our size, our students expect, and we have a responsibility to offer them options. We can't support ASL because of the cost, because of the schedule. It just has not worked. We have tried.
The educators aren't there.
We
They're
have
not.
tried and tried and tried. So we're looking at what can we offer that would still give our students an option. My personal feeling is that most of our students are going to take Spanish because it's live. And they can be in a classroom with an instructor that can support them full time. Right now, Edgenuity, French and German is a way to continue to offer some choices. Is it perfect? No. I mean, I would love to have a language where I can guarantee you that you're going to have a teacher there every day for the next 10 years. I can't do that. We can't even fill our gen ed classrooms, our, core classrooms. So a language classroom is going to be probably a struggle to fill. What can we do? Are there other programs than Edgenuity to do it? Probably so. Because we already have Edgenuity, it's covered in the cost of what we already have with Edgenuity. We would like to give that a try. That's not to say that next year for that, not next year, the following year for that class that we wouldn't look at another program maybe if Edgenuity doesn't meet our needs. But I think with the resources we have and the financial position we're in and the staffing position we're in, I think it's worth a try.
Thank you.
We have a motion?
I move that we approve the adding of the French and German courses to the course catalog in order to provide more options for world languages.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Peterson and a second by Ms. Knight. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes 7. That concludes our action items for tonight. And for the board, you will see information items in the back, enrollment report, finance reports, and other items. Time is 9:27. And the board will adjourn in the closed session pursuant to multiple Texas Government Codes Act list as listed on the agenda.